Hey friends, Peggy Hall back with you from thehealthyamerican.org. It's time to talk about the 15-minute cities. Many of my Healthy Americans are already aware that this is an initiative, a sustainable goal set by the United Nations. Many of you are aware of Agenda 21. That was set back in 1992, and we are still reaping the heinous, horrible side effects of that. And so I want to talk about what are these 15-minute cities? What does it mean for you? And then most importantly, I want to share with you some of the telltale signs in terms of whether your city is going down this route or not. Cleveland, Ohio is making no bones about it that they want to be a 15-minute city. I wonder if this has anything to do with the train derailments. I think we can connect the clots in so many ways, can't we? All right, friends, before we do that, let me bring you a brief message from Noble Gold Investments. You know about this company because I've been telling you about them, and they've been one of my most long-running sponsors. And we are at war, basically, and we are in a recession. Two things the government really doesn't want you to know, but it's only a matter of time until cracks start to show. And do you know who will get hit the most? Well, it's you and me. And that's why you need to protect yourself and your family, because things will get worse if we don't take action. So fortunately, Noble Gold Investments is here to help you. You've worked too hard to build up your savings and your investments to see it all crushed to bits. So a precious metals IRA with Noble Gold Investments ticks all of the boxes to keep you safe. And this month, they're giving away this beautiful Gold Eagle bullion coin with every qualifying IRA of $50,000 or higher if you're in that category. But they have something for everyone. So stop worrying and visit noblegoldinvestments.com. You cannot go wrong with them, and their many, many five-star reviews. This is a family-owned company. I've interviewed the CEO before, and you can call right now, 877-646-5347 for a no-obligation phone call and to get more info to see if this is right for you. Friends, let's talk about what's coming down next in terms of these 15-minute cities. Right off the get-go, right from the get-go, why 15 minutes? I'm going to talk about what is a 15-minute city, who's behind this. But before we do that, who came up with the concept of 15 minutes? Why not 20 minutes? Why not 25 minutes? Why not 10 minutes? Why not 35 minutes? Oh, you didn't get to vote? You didn't have a say in that? Oh, yeah, that's part of the problem. You see, it's the top-down kind of communistic, communitarian structure where somebody else, better than you, of course, who knows what you want, is going to tell you what you want. So let me do this. I'm going to share my screen again, and we are going to start right on over at the United Nations. They seem to be at the root of all these diabolical plans. So here we go. Right on over to the United Nations, the Department of Economic and Social Affairs for Sustainable Development. Here we go, 2030. Now, they are using the word transforming, and I think they're trying to transform our world in more ways than one. And here we go, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. I will have a link for you if you want to read this lengthy document, but it's full of a bunch of hogwash and unachievable goals. Here we go. We are determined to end poverty and hunger. It's a very noble goal, but I doubt that it will ever be achieved. Even the Bible says that the poor will always be with us. We are determined to ensure that all human beings can enjoy prosperous and fulfilling lives. How is that up to the United Nations? I really don't understand this. So it's a way of controlling how cities develop. Let's hop right on over here. Actually, I'm going to take you to this old United Nations website, and it's sustainabledevelopment.un. This was back in 1992 when Agenda 21 was first written. And Agenda 30, these are just all of their goals for globalizing the world. And you know how I describe it, the New World Disorder. So I had to click on over here to actually get the download of this. Oh my gosh, it's 351 pages of the Agenda 2020 or the Agenda 21 goals. And that was for this century that we are in right now. I do want to bring you a couple, I will leave a link for you, but I do want to direct your attention here to number 7, promoting sustainable human settlement development. This is where the idea for the 15-minute cities came from. And it probably was floating around long before then. But think about that, 1992, that is 31 years ago. This, my friends, is called incrementalism. They actually don't care how long it takes. That's why they can push and slosh the hogwash and then back off and then push it and back off, because they have an end goal, which is probably not in our lifetime. But the evil is accelerating and our response is accelerating. In fact, I think it's because we are exposing the evil that they are accelerating. But think about this idea for these 15-minute cities, also called smart cities. And, you know, everything is smart and green and sustainable and eco-friendly and single source and all of that. I want to bring this to your attention, a couple of the phrases and how alarming they are. And then I'm going to show you some symbols and the telltale signs that you need to look for to make sure that you are not, you know, kind of being lulled into this, oh, the city is really developing nicely. Because, well, you let me know what you think about the idea of a 15-minute city where you cannot go outside any distance of 15 minutes. Now, they're going to tell you that it's going to be convenient, and I'll give you a description of exactly what that 15-minute city is. But you know, and I know it's to control your movement. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention in terms of how long ago they were talking about this. In this document, I'm just going to point out a couple of points. First of all, I don't care that they call them human settlement developments. What do you think about that phrase? That's another word. Those are words for cities. All right. A city is where people live and thrive and work and connect, socialize, and so forth. A human settlement development, that sounds very not good to me at all. I don't like that. It's like we're the chess pieces with this new world disorder, and they're determining where does the human settlement go? Like they're going to settle us. They're going to move us. This is the language they're using. So 6.3 says the health and well-being of all urban dwellers must be improved so that they can contribute to economic and social development. That's what they think about you and me, that our health and well-being is not so that we can achieve and enjoy life and prosper to our own desire and fulfill our goals and dreams. No, we are there to serve the economic and social development. That's in black and white, friends. I will leave all of the links here for you. It goes on to say that intersectional approaches to the reform of health personnel development should be strengthened to ensure it's relevant to the health for all strategies. I'm going to come back to that in just a moment. It's very troubling what was going on in California. These approaches should form the core principles of national settlement strategies. That's why I didn't like when Trump was talking about the freedom cities on federal land. First of all, cities are not overseen by the federal government. These are creations. These municipalities are created by the people in each sovereign state. It's not a federal issue. So the idea of these national settlement strategies, I did not like what Trump was saying about that. I did that in my previous video. Okay, the Sustainable Cities Program and the Healthy Cities Program come from the WHO. Now, this is all this kind of top-down planning. You know, and I know that it doesn't work, and it certainly doesn't work in the United States, where individual choices, individual liberty, and individual rights are number one. The needs of the group are secondary. And by the way, when you take care of your own individual needs, it benefits the group. So before we go any further, let me tell you about when I lived in Morocco. I lived in Morocco for about 5 years, off and on. I was a Peace Corps volunteer. I also went and just lived there. I worked for a large American company called Procter & Gamble. Yes, before I knew how evil, I don't even know if I can say that on this channel, before I knew about all about that company. In fact, I didn't like it very much at all, and I did not stay with that. Anyway, the point is this. When I lived in Morocco, I had a residence card, and I had to register with the city where I lived. And I had the, let's say, approval to live in that city. If I wanted to move to a different city, I had to unregister myself from my current city. I had to get approval to move to a new city, and I had to be registered, approved, basically licensed to live in the new city. I would write letters home. Yes, back before we had all the email and all, I would write letters home talking about this type of control and how horrendous it was. If I was traveling on a train, on a bus, a passenger in a car, in a taxi, and the police stopped the conveyance and they asked for my papers, and they would see that I was a resident of a certain city traveling outside of that area, and they would ask me, where are you going? Who are you going to see? What's that address? Can you imagine a young American living in freedom up until that time, going to Morocco and thinking, I cannot believe the kind of the lack of freedom in this country, because it's not a constitutional republic. It's not a free country. Now, they may have had reasons for that. It may be because I was a foreigner. I don't know that every resident in Morocco is under those same restrictions, but that's not the point. The point is that I lived under that. I lived basically in the 15-minute city concept, which is you will not have, they're not going to tell you this now. I'll tell you, I'll paint the picture for you in just a moment. But the bottom line is they want to control your movement. And the person who's behind this whole architecture of the 15-minute cities even says so. And I'm going to tell you about that in just a moment. So let's talk about why they are telling us that these 15-minute cities are good for us. All right, I'm going to go right on over to this website. It's Fast Company. And this author says the concept for the 15-minute city is awesome. And you know what, friends? This is of today. This actually is, it's so interesting. The date is today, March. Well, actually, I'm pre-recording this. So this is March 9th. You're going to be watching this March 10th or later. The concept of a city where all essentials are 15 minutes away by foot or bike. Did you catch that? Has come under fire from conspiracy theorists recently, but it's just how people in cities used to live. All right, before I go any farther, oh, so you want to roll us back into time. You don't like the improvements in our life. You want us to go backwards in time. So you live and work and you travel by bike or on foot. All right, before we go any further, let's just break that down for a moment, shall we? Tell me in a comment what the problem is with traveling only by bike or on foot. Now, I'm a person who loves to walk. And back in the day when I was in college, I had a bike. I loved to ride my bike everywhere. I might even get another bike one day, who knows? So I love that. I love the outdoor exercise. A few years ago, I broke my foot. I had a broken foot that took about, oh my gosh, 5 or 6 months to completely heal until I could walk on it normally. I was on one of those little scooters. So how would I be able to ride a bike with a broken foot? Just asking. How would I even be able to walk in the city with the broken foot? What about elderly people that are not stable? What if they have health issues? What if they have visual issues like I do? What about someone that has let's say 4 or 5 children? Oh, that's right. Children are not going to be a part of the 15-minute cities. How are you going to transport your children in the rain? Are you all going to just be on the bicycle in the rain? What about your animals? You need to take your animal to the vet, or there's an emergency, or you just want to go visit a friend. And maybe you want to go grocery shopping and also stop off at the library and then, take your dog to the dog park, and you're doing it in your car. Yes, because cars are like an amazing creation and invention, and we use them for a reason because they're convenient. Now, if you want to have this 15-minute city and it's voluntary, and it's not voluntary, because I'm going to show you some pictures in terms of ripping out the lanes for cars and making them available just for bicycles. They're doing that here in Southern California where I live. And there aren't even any bicycles on the road. They're making the traffic worst, as I say, because worst is worse than worse. And there's not even any bicycles on the road. And they're making a visual blight. It's an eyesore to see how they paint the streets green. I mean, it's very, very bizarre. These are just a few of the telltale signs of the 15-minute city. I have a couple more notes here about why this idea of being on a bicycle or walking. Okay, it's just not practical. I'll just put it that way. It's not practical because of the distance. Maybe you're in a rush and you have an emergency and you need to get your child to the doctor or your dog to the vet, and you're going to get on a bicycle and take 15 minutes to get there, where you might be able to get there in a couple of minutes in a car. What about ambulances? What about other emergencies? It doesn't make sense. Weather, again, physical infirmities and so forth. They're living in a utopia, just the idea that there's never going to be poverty. There's never going to be hunger. Well, why don't you just extend that and say there's never going to be death? And anyone who dies is breaking the law. That's what they're doing now, friends, with all of this cooties hogwash. It's illegal to be sick. It's ridiculous. It is unsustainable. I'm going to be calling them the unsustainable goals of the UN. And the main thing is this also wastes time. All this walking and bicycling as a normal way of life. Again, if you live in a big city and you love it, like you live in New York, you live in Paris, apparently Cleveland is going to be the next 15-minute city, more power to you. I love cities. I've traveled, I've experienced them. Personally, for me, it's not a way of life for me personally that is sustainable, not at my stage of life and the things that I want to accomplish. The main thing is its lack of freedom of choice. You're not going to get the choice. You're going to be in that bicycle lane or you're going to be walking. And as I say, putting in all these bicycle lanes increases traffic, probably increases accidents, and certainly increases frustration. So let me continue here. And I'll just also get right to the chase. In Paris, the mayor of Paris started with this idea of the 15-minute city. Well, Paris is a very unique city. I lived in France I lived in Paris for a short period of time. I've traveled there before a few times, so I'm very familiar with the city. It has the infrastructure. It has the metro. It has taxis everywhere you want to go. I live out kind of like in the boonies, and so to speak, in terms of I'm not in a big city. I'm just kind of like on the outskirts of a suburb. And where am I going to get a taxi? Where is the train? Oh, that's right. They want to move everyone out of the boonies and into the cities. So the architect, this designer of the 15-minute cities, his name, follow me if you can for a moment. I'll try to make it clear. The mayor of Paris is relying on this visionary who is promoting the 15-minute cities. His pronouncement is this. Are you ready? The mobility of the future is immobility. That means you're not going to be moving. It will be illegal for you to leave that 15-minute realm. It's basically like an outdoor prison. So I will show you a couple more of these websites here that I wanted. So this I'll leave for you, the case for the 15-minute cities. The fellow says that it's great. You can walk everywhere, a short walk or bike ride. And here we go. Mayor Anne Hidalgo helped popularize the idea in a re-election campaign in 2020. Some parts of the city were already walkable enough to meet the 15-minute definition. So here are some of the telltale signs that your city is going to be moving in that direction. These are roundabouts. Somebody was asking me what that is. It's a type of traffic circle, and this is a part of the Agenda 2021. I'm sorry, Agenda 21 and the Agenda 2030. And here is, let's see, I also got a couple of pictures. Here we go. Federal Highway Transport Administration, the roundabouts, they are supposed to improve safety, promote lower speeds, and traffic calming. So I believe this is a method of traffic control. They can easily, perhaps I haven't studied it, I'm not a traffic engineer, but it seems as if it is harder for you to just like make your getaway, right? If you had a normal intersection, you could just like run through that red light. You can't run through any red lights here. You have to go in the circle. And if they block it off and there are other cars or something, I think it's much more of traffic control. And then it says, meet a wide range of traffic conditions, blah, blah, blah. And they probably are promoting these. And I'm sure that here's another picture. I'm sure that the cities are getting money from the federal government. I need to do a little more research on that, but I'm sure they're getting money in order to put those in. Okay, that was Trump's, this is Donald Trump's website, and I did a video on him yesterday. And this is where he was talking about creating these freedom cities and why. And then I told you why I am not in favor of that. Okay, here we go. I showed you that one. Here we are. This is the fellow, Carlos Moreno. And this is in Spanish, but it says the mobility of the future is immobility. All right, before I go any farther, this is gaslighting. This is telling you, oh, we're going to be apart together. Remember they had that on all the hogwashing that they did a couple of years ago. Oh, restricting your breathing is healthy for you. Being isolated and staying indoors is how you're going to stay healthy. So movement is going to be, you're not going to be moving. And they say it right there. So there you have it. Let me show you a couple more websites because these are just so compelling. And then I want to talk to you about this, the healthy initiatives. Okay. Here's another one. The 15-minute city backlash is a part of the great climate change conspiracy theory. Oh my gosh. I don't even think they'll let me read that one. Here we go. Cleveland is going to become a 15-minute city. How do you like them apples? Let me know if them are rotten apples. And here we go. They want to make it a highway car free, adding so many bike lanes that the streets, oh no, this is in Paris, that the streets now look more like Copenhagen, which is not very safe to have all those bikes where people are walking, in my view. So here we go. We are working toward being the first city in North America to implement a 15-minute city planning framework where people, not developers, but people, oh yes, the human settlements are at the center of urban revitalization. So here we go. That's exactly what you've got going on in Cleveland. Let me see. All right, here we are. I wanted to show you this in Illinois. 2040 master plan of O'Fallon, Illinois, adopted February of 2022. This already just looks, build your future. It just seems very oppressive. And I will leave a link for you if you want to read through this. The infrastructure's resilient economy. Where are the human settlements? All right. So you can read all about what they're doing there. It's just so not what I want in my life. Oh, that's the Healthy American store where you can buy your t-shirts. I'll have a link for you there. Encinitas, not too far from where I am. It was very controversial because they were putting the roundabouts there. And my lovely Healthy Americans who live there are telling me that they're trying to turn it into one of these 15-minute cities. And it's been very controversial. They were going to have several, they were going to have like 5 or 6 roundabouts there. And the city, the people living in the city said, we don't want that. So here's an example. All right. I don't think this is very attractive. Here we go. Carlsbad, beautiful, used to be a beautiful city. Oh, they're not going to give it to me. Okay, let me go back one. But you can see this is not attractive to me at all. The green painted on the sidewalk, these yellow lanes, only one lane for a car, mind you. Do you see that? You've got the bicycles, the walking, nothing wrong with that if you enjoy doing it. Don't impose it. Don't require it. And these are pictures of them putting in those roundabouts. People did not like it at all. Okay, I've got a couple more here for you. All right. This was back in 2018. Encinitas, the roundabout capital of California. There goes the funky Leucadia vibe. Best donut shop in California is in Leucadia Donuts. And so I know this area quite well. 6 roundabouts were planned on Coast Highway. And then they reduced it down to 1 because of people like us standing up and speaking out. And their idea was that it's just going to turn it into one of these 15-minute cities. We don't want that. Let it just be, let it grow naturally. Here's these green bike lanes. Look at how little there is for the car. And friends, these are absolutely staged photos. I never see people riding their bikes like this in those lanes. This is a little better. It's actually off the street. But do you think this is attractive? These bike lanes here like this? Look at this. I think it's an eyesore. I think it's a distraction. I think it's going to cause more accidents. The people are right there, right next to the cars, and the eye is drawn to those green lanes. Why do they have to be green? Oh, because of the green agenda. All right, here we are. Agenda 21, roundabouts, bike lanes, and visioning. Again, it's very difficult to read when I do the screen share, but I am going to read what this article says, and I don't know if they're being facetious or not, but I think it's a very good description. It says, in a nutshell, the plan calls for governments to take control of all land use and not leave any of the decision-making in the hands of private property owners. Friends, we're already seeing that. What do you think is happening in Ohio and California and other places where people are having their homes damaged, and they'll be so damaged that they won't be able to return to them. It's assumed that people are not good stewards of their land, and the government will do a better job if they're in control. Individual rights give way to the needs of the community, and those needs are determined by the governing body. I hope this is not happening in my lifetime. And of course, the people are going to be taken off the land and put into the human settlements. I already showed you that phrase. And there's another project called the Wildlands Project. I'll have to look into that one, that spells out how most of the land is to be set aside for the non-humans. I don't even like that they call them, I just don't like how they refer to that. So Agenda 21 says that, our affluence is a problem. We all need to be brought down to the equitable poverty line. So it is, people will get snookered into this because they're like, yes, green living, and we can ride our bike everywhere and walk everywhere, only if it's voluntary, not if it's imposed. Okay. Here's another one. Inside Agenda 20, I'll leave all these links for you. This was from The Atlantic, the international tyranny of bike lanes, and this was 10 years ago, 11 years ago, how these bike lanes are making it more difficult and people are not actually liking it to the extent they thought. They're great to have a little bike lane outside of traffic. Okay. You can find out, for example, I've got let me share this as well, some of the research I did. Just finding out about the transportation in your state, you can find out about it. So this is something recently about these bike lanes and, so on and so forth. Where's the money going? I don't want to share, I don't have time to share all this with you at this point, but just to let you know that these are the telltale signs. Are you getting a lot of bike lanes? Are you getting, and here we go. West Covina finally waking up. Residents rise up to fight the Agenda 21 bike lane agenda. And this was 5 years ago. This is a great website. I highly recommend, or a great YouTube channel, Grindall61. Lives here in Southern California, has been fighting this hogwash for a long time. And here at the city council, they're trying to show how great it's going to be to take away the traffic lanes. And the residents stood up against it. And I think that they actually rolled back some of what they were planning on doing. Okay, I showed you that one. And I think I showed you all of these. Oh, I wanted to show you, I talked about in the Agenda 21 that it is, sustainable for all. And so California has this slogan, California all, California for all. No, that's very communistic and I don't care for it. And the other thing, I might have to do a separate video. I'm going to do a separate video on the healthy communities, healthy living communities. This troubled me back in the midst of all the hogwash, where counties and cities were saying, we're passing a healthy cities resolution. I'm like, that sounds like the United Nations all over it. And they twisted it. Maybe they didn't know, but they twisted it to make it look like it was a good thing when it was actually this Agenda 2030 probably at this point. So friends, this has run a little long. I'm going to wrap up. I can't wait to read your comments about what you think about these 15-minute cities. Look for those cues and clues. Look for the roundabouts, look for the bike lanes, look for the language, and keep your eye on those public serpents. Heaven knows I'm doing as well. I did promise to read you one of my letters. So let me do that. And it actually has something to do with what we're talking about. So this is from a lovely, healthy American in California. And she said, "Dear Peggy, as someone who has been following you since mid-2020, I can tell you that you have made me laugh when the world made me cry. You gave me inspiration and strength when I felt alone and only God understood me. You helped me to become empowered, knowing that I stand on the truth. I am a NICU, so that is the neonatal intensive care nurse, who was terminated for choosing to forego the cooties cure. And she did use my materials, but she was dealing with evil, and there are criminals out there, and she is the victim of a crime. The trauma that my employer induced on me is forever imprinted on my mind, to the point that I will never return to a hospital after I worked for 23 years. I am in a lawsuit representing the Kaiser healthcare workers. She said, you had influence on me on that as well. When we are in numbers, they hate us. They want to keep us isolated. She said, I believe that your lawsuit against the Orange County Board of Supervisors will set the stage for the entire state of California, and it needs to happen. And she said, I want to offer you this financial blessing. I really appreciate it. I wish I could do more. And then she said, I really appreciate all your prayers and support. She said, I'm going to start a business and be self-employed, and I want these demons to pay for what they have done. I am in the fight with you, and I will see it through till the very end, no matter how many times I have to relive everything. She said, you are doing the right thing. God bless you. I'm sending you big hugs, and I hope you'll enjoy some sips of warm tea. With complete gratitude for everything you do. And she sent this beautiful card. And I want to finish off with this. I wanted to share my favorite verse with you. And this is Matthew 7. Keep on asking and you will receive what you ask for. Keep on seeking and you will find. Keep on knocking and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives. Everyone who seeks finds, and everyone who knocks, the door will be opened. And she said, may God bless you. And Pastor David, I am so grateful for all the cards and letters that I receive, and I love to share them here on the show as well. There is the address is below if you would like to send the snail mail. Absolutely love it. I think we need to bring back the tradition of letters. I love reading letters. I love sending you my thank you notes. And most of all, I love connecting with you, knowing that we are on the path to righteousness. We are standing up for truth. And I do believe that the more we can expose what these evildoers are doing, the more that they kind of backpedal. And that is an action step that we can take.